Hello and welcome to this session on how to prepare a 10-minute presentation. My name is David Carey and I'm from Inspire Career Consultancy. And I'm really delighted to be sharing this session with you today. Preparing a presentation needn't be a difficult thing. And I am going to be sharing a mind map with you in this session, which we will be developing as we go along to show you exactly how to do that in a number of simple stages. So let's move on and open up the mind map. Here's the mind map in its closed down format. We will be starting with structure and moving round clockwise. So to start off with then, let's look at the structure of a presentation. A typical presentation will be made up of 3 parts: introduction, main body, and summary. And you can see the percentage figures there for each of them. So if we're talking about a 10-minute presentation, then the introduction will be around about 1 minute, the main body 8 minutes, and the summary 1 minute. What I want to do now is take you through each of these areas in turn. So to start with, let's look at the introduction. The introduction is made up of 4 parts. You start off by introducing yourself, and I would really recommend that you suggest that unless there's a burning question, that people keep them until the end. That way you won't be interrupted as you go on. You can now see there are 3 main parts, and these are all quite critical within the introduction. The first part is an interest getter. So what's this all about? Imagine you have a number of people in front of you. Let's say it's a panel interview with 5 people and one person is looking out of the window. What you want to do is to grab their attention. You want to get them to focus on what you're talking about. And that is where the interest getter comes in. There are different forms of interest getters. It could be a joke, maybe a cartoon, which suddenly pulls their attention to the slides that you're presenting, or maybe if you're just talking verbally, to listen to the joke. It might be quite an astounding fact to do with whatever your topic is. Or it could be something physical that you take with you. Now, what do I mean by that? So I attended a talk once which was about Buzz Lightyear. And the speaker had a Buzz Lightyear with him, which he held up. And that grabbed everyone's attention. So it can be a joke, a fact, or something physical. Once you've got their attention, the next step is to explain to them why they should be listening to you. So you might say something like, this is an important topic because we all need to know how to save the planet we're living on. So it's an expression of need. Once you've grabbed their interest, once they understand why they need to listen, you then move on to the objectives. And I'm going to suggest no more than 3 objectives for a 10-minute talk. That's somewhere 2.5 to 3 minutes per objective. And within the introduction, you just itemize what those objectives are. So you now set the scene. You've introduced yourself, you've grabbed their interest, you have explained why they need to listen, and then you've told them the 3 objectives, what it is you're going to be talking about. That takes us neatly on to the main body. The main body looks at the 3 objectives in turn. Now you'll notice for each objective, I've put 2 entries. The first entry is from known, and the second entry is to unknown. I just noticed I've spelt it wrong. It should be TOO, but never mind. What is that all about? Well, if you want someone to learn something, they're often quite nervous about learning something new. Am I going to be able to take this in? Will I understand it? Those sorts of thoughts could be going through their mind. So the gentlest way to approach this is to start with something that they actually know about the topic area. This could be something quite simple, but something that your audience will understand. Once you've done that, you will gain their trust that you're not going to rush them on too fast. They will have a secure feeling, having started with something that they know, and you can then gently take them from the known to the unknown. And you do this for each of your topics within the main body. Having done that, we move to the last part of the talk, which is the summary. As you can see, the summary is made up of 3 parts: a recap, a chance to answer any questions, and then a thank you for listening today. So let's go through those in turn. Firstly, the recap. This is where you go over the 3 main objectives again. This is particularly helpful if for some reason their mind drifted. You've given them the opportunity to take it again. You then stick to your promise at the start where you said you would start with any questions. No, you would ask for any questions to be asked at the end. And this is where you do just that. Please, if you find there is a question you can't answer, don't try and stumble your way through it. Simply say, I can't answer that right now, but I would like, and I will get back to you. And then thank the audience for listening to you today. There's one main area that I want to look at, which is not actually to do with the content of the presentation in the same way as the other parts of the mind map have been. I've got a couple of tips for you. The first tip is to speak slowly. Now, the reason for this is that people can only take information in at a certain speed. It's important to add pauses. These pauses will allow their subconscious to absorb the information that you just talked about. So put lots of pauses in. Question for you. Did that last pause seem particularly long? Most people would say no. The reason I mention that is that for especially new speakers or presenters, they often feel that if they put a pause in, maybe while they're thinking about something, that there's a deathly silence in the room and they put far too long a pause in. This is rarely the case. A pause is your friend, and I really encourage you to make use of them. The last thing I want to talk about is eye contact. Please remember, especially if you have a panel of people in front of you, to make regular eye contact. I suggest you sweep from the left to the right or the right to the left, but make certain you do a sweep, because there is a tendency, if people are saying right-handed, that they will just focus on the right side of the audience and hardly ever look at the left side. So if you do sweep your eyes across the audience, pausing on each one in turn, you will be making excellent eye contact. Well, that's everything that I wanted to bring to the session today about preparing a 10-minute presentation. Please have a look at the other presentations within the Gifts from David. There is one on guidance to finding a new career. There's this one, and there's another one on understanding assessments, understanding psychometrics. There's also an audio presentation on the world of work and how to make the most use of it, which would be ideal if you're on a car journey or if you're going for a walk with some headphones on and you want to have a listen. If I can be of any further help to you, or if you'd like to ask me any questions on today's presentation, then please feel free to ring me. I will be leaving my contact details on the next slide.